It's your favorite YouTuber, Aaron. Don't go along just to get along. So I'm here at the one of the Tanzanian museums. I don't recall the name right off the top of my head, but of course, as always, I'm gonna put the information in the description and I'm gonna reference it on a couple of occasions. It's in Swahili and it don't exactly roll off my tongue right easy, meaning easily. So I'm gonna get into this video. I just want to show y'all a couple things from the educational standpoint here at a museum right across the street from a major college here in Dar es Salaam. So as promised, I'm gonna get right into it, show you the absolute buffoonery and disrespect and respect to geology and just in terms of how, as I referenced in previous videos, how they actually teach evolution right here on the very soil that life began. Evolution, y'all, evolution. As you can see there, some of the references, I'm gonna highlight that so you can see it. So they're showing what they would call or refer to as evolution. And then human sapiens. So we're gonna go back and we're gonna look at the images as well. And we're gonna go back to this picture and show it also again. Again, this is what they're teaching. This is what they're teaching. This is what they're teaching. I did see this, but I didn't actually break it down prior to coming up here and looking at it. But as you can see, the study of prehistory is a complicated subject, so they say, and is not only confined to the search for the interpretation of fossil human remains. This aspect of the subject is in fact only one very small part, although it is the central figure of the picture, so to speak, but the background is made up of studies of the climate, geography, cultures, and associated fauna and flora of the periods in the past history of the earth when man was gradually and slowly evolving into the creature we call Homo sapiens today. So obviously, in short, bullshit. I mean, let's just keep it 1,000. I mean, anybody that got any sense, they know they didn't come from no apes and they ain't come from no monkeys. But that's what they're teaching. That's what they're teaching our students, our Kakumdogos and Dadas. That's what they're teaching. We know we didn't come from no apes, no monkeys. And anybody that don't know, now there is a species that has that trait. The white man has the RS gene in it, but you can't find that in blacks. You can't find that in Africans. You can't find that RS monkey gene in blacks, but you can find it in white people and Caucasians that come from the Caucasus Mountains. But they're not gonna teach them that. They're gonna always try to push their history out on other people because they know if anyone that's not natural to this earth, it's them. So again, this is just some information. I saw it and I was just like, wow. It's actually considered an art museum. Let's take a look at some more of this information here. I'm gonna highlight all those are just animals and, you know, as you can see the antlers and stuff like that, or what would be considered, I forgot the name of that animal. I've seen them so many times on a safari. I mean, it's a beautiful illustration of nature, but it's a complete lie of mankind. It's a beautiful illustration of nature, but it's a complete lie of mankind. Man didn't come from monkeys, and they can write as much stuff as they want to, especially black men did not come from monkeys. So let's just take a look at some of these things. As you can see, beautiful illustration. illustration of nature. And as you can see, if we move from one picture to the next, how they are manipulating the figures of what they consider or call Homo sapien in terms of their quote unquote evolution theory. I mean, man, it's just so disrespectful. But this is what colonization does. When you're colonized, you're ripped away from your own history and you're given the history that they want to impose upon you. And see, you see the so-called quote-unquote development of the man here? Look at that. Wow. Absolutely crazy. So I'm gonna cut right here and I'm gonna go to another part. I just wanted to give a couple of insights and highlights. I don't feel intrigued at all to kind of go through the BS. Anybody that has spent any time in school, unfortunately, they know the whole outline of the evolution, quote unquote, theory to a great degree if they were interested in it. I mean, me, it don't resonate with me, as I'm so emphatically sharing. And so I'm gonna keep going. This was more about just to give you guys the visual concepts they have hanging in museums. This is considered the crater of life, and this is what they're implying in terms of how life began and evolved. According to this map, is what's documented as the East African trade routes before the arrival of the Europeans, 1000 to 1300 AD. So you see Arabia, Persia, East Africa itself. I believe that's pronounced Ceylon, India, China, Indonesia. You gotta always do the work for yourself. They have, I'm not gonna say ironically, but they have spices listed under Indonesia. I've heard the theory in respect to the spices came from East Africa and was taken over there. One thing we know about history, they steal everything and they manipulate everything. So that's just a reference point where you can look a little deeper into that. This is a map showing the long distance trading places and products from the coast of Indian Ocean between 1000 to 1300 AD as well. Cairo, Alexandria was referred to as Kilwa, the Indian Ocean itself. So supposedly this one is to identify the trade between East African continent and Asia. And here we have more of an Asiatic influence around 1498. Here, same scenario. Saying that East Africans reconstruction possibly that says established, but it gotta be enslaved by Chinese official Sung One dynasty. That's obviously a map drawing, as you can see. Reference points around the 15th century, approximately 1417, 1419. This is what I want to get to. Because it's great when you have these reference points that you don't have a tendency to keep in the forefront of your mind, like Fort Jesus. Oh yeah, Fort Jesus, good old Fort Jesus. So for all you Christians out there, this is exhibit A per se of why you shouldn't be a Christian. I mean, they had you in a place to die named Fort Jesus. That's all you need to know, and that's in 1593. I mean, what else do you have to be told in terms of why you shouldn't be worshiping that God? What else do you have to be told? This is a 15th century map as well. A mosque. I don't know what happened there. I have to get some more reference points. But that's the name, Kilwa, Kilwa. You know, ironically, I was watching a video just yesterday of Kevin Samuels. He was dropping some dimes. By the way, I really didn't look at a lot of Kevin Samuels' information before he passed away. It just wasn't something that I was into from a standpoint of, it's just not something I was into. But the more I've listened to him, the more I see why they took him out. The brother was spot on with a lot of things that he was saying and sharing and illustrating, and all he was promoting was, you know, in layman's terms, family, and really how to overcome, you know, the obstacles that are provided in terms of expectations and things of that nature for both man and woman. And speaking of man and woman, he got on both man and woman. It wasn't just women that he was giving it to. It was women who was consistently coming to the forefront of the information, you know, basically to have those talks on a nightly basis. But men did as well, and I saw one segment where he really gave it to a brother. I mean, he really gave it to him, because he was showing how his expectations are unrealistic. So the Jews that he was dropping, I know why they would have taken him out, because they don't want anyone changing the narrative and, you know, basically the perception in a positive light in the way that he was doing. So get back to this information. So we see now we've jumped up around the 1840s. I think I did see something like 1600s earlier. I think it was back there. But this is some information that you can see and take your time in terms of Arab's influence. Once again, conquer, enslavement. That's one thing reason why I mentioned Kevin Samuels. Actually, I mentioned him because he was having a conversation on another segment that I was watching, where it was three, let's just call them feminist women and modern feminists. Not feminists in its original terms, but modern femininity, the one that anybody that has a brain despise. Keep it 1,000. And he was talking about how basically how they want to complain about what's not fair when it don't suit them, but when you get into the VIP, when you go to the club, how you can get in with no charge, but the woman who may not look as hot as you or dudes, they gotta pay a cover. He was using that because everybody can relate in some shape, form, or fashion, or even understand the whole concept of how that transpires. I say that to simply say this, is that he was talking about how men historically don't complain about what's fair and what's not fair. Men identify the situation, recognize it for what it is, and they adjust accordingly. It just made me thinking, he was speaking of how men conquer. They don't care about what's fair, they conquer. And historically speaking, he's right on par. Let me go over to this. I got a very important phone call, so I want to see if this is who I think it is. It is. Let me take this phone call, and I'm gonna get back with you guys.